Hi, folks. I want to give you an update on what happened with my experiment last week. So, if you're a regular viewer, you will know that I worked really hard at creating these 3-minute videos for the daily brief and for the three big stories every day. I did a few other things that were longer, but for those, I kept really focused on 3 minutes. Now, when I created the daily brief, it was just a thought like, hey, would you be interested in just a quick synopsis of this? And but then sometimes it was hard and they expanded, and people would say things periodically like, hey, this has gotten longer. Well, when there's a lot of news, I felt like it needed to be longer. And so I was just experimenting to see if that was a good idea to just try to force myself into 3 minutes. So I asked you in a video on Saturday, I said, okay, you saw what it was like 3 minutes and 3 minutes every day, and I worked really hard at keeping it to that. Is that what you want me to do? And so I surveyed you, and this was the result of the survey. And so A was yes, stay to 3 minutes. B was no, cover everything, right? And then C was be brief by default and be longer as necessary. So what you saw in the daily brief today was a longer version because there were a lot of updates about all kinds of things that we had been talking about, including news that was just today, but as well as like we needed to talk about some certain updates so that you were understanding everything that was going on. So again, here's the list. A had 42. B had 74 votes, and then C had 272 votes. So clearly that's what the people wanted. I was very surprised by that because I was expecting that most people would say A, and I'm wrong. That's why I surveyed. That's why I asked, so I can find out what's going on. So I was really surprised. Cover everything was almost twice of no, just stay to 3 minutes. And then runaway was 272 for be brief by default, and then just try to be as succinct as possible. But if you need to expand, you need to expand. So that's a good idea. Now I listen to every comment. Now when I say I listen to it, I actually sometimes if I don't answer you when I'm like looking at your comments, I'm listening to it. I make it autoplay on my iPhone, and then I just listen to it while I'm driving or doing something else, and then I hear what you're saying. So if I don't respond, it doesn't mean that I haven't heard your comments. Okay, now some of the comments here I want to address. So keep the visual aspect. Yes, I'm planning on keeping the visual aspect every day. What I was doing was forcing myself to stay away from my computer, and by doing that, I was making sure I was staying within and not expanding. Just don't go silent. No, I don't have any plans to go silent. I was very tired last week. I feel a lot better right now, but I'm planning on staying with this until we see the end of the war and we see Putin prosecuted. Don't say you could be wrong. Well, but I need to say I could be wrong because I could be wrong. I get that periodically where people no don't say that. No, I mean a solid, sound academic approach is to recognize that I don't see everything, and because I don't see everything, I'm giving that as a caveat. But it's an informed view when I talk. So, okay, do what's best for you. I think what's best for me is not to feel like I have to be comprehensive, because that was part of my plight, was that I was trying to do everything in 3 minutes, trying to be comprehensive simultaneously. And I don't feel like I'm not trying to compete with, say, Jake Bro. Jake Bro does his full on thing. And I'm just trying to give a quick synopsis of what's going on. I'm not trying to be in that same space. So yeah. Okay, your channel is good at the big picture. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so here I'm reading a number of comments that viewers had. That's like the A, B, or C. My choices was, that's like asking who is your favorite child. Well, for the record, my favorite child is... Okay, I'm just kidding about that. Do it the way that will allow you to keep on doing it. That's what I plan to do. Respect our time. I do that. No cliffhangers. I never do that. Brevity is good. You can't. One of my favorite comments, like, it's hard to be brief. It really is. Like, if you could just ramble for a few hours, that's a lot easier than trying to be really brief and really targeted. Don't focus on time. If you have material for 1 hour, speak for 1 hour. For 1 minute, speak for 1 minute. That's the way I think about this, is like, I'm trying to make sure I cover things, but I'm not trying to extend unnecessarily. Give us your unbiased view. Well, I don't have an unbiased view. I have a biased view. We all have biases and we need to recognize them. I put my cards on the table by saying I'm pro-Ukraine. I'm a Republican who supports Ukraine. I'm a conservative Christian. This is where I come from. This is how I am. And then if you hear my analysis, you can hear it in light of the way that I approach things. And I think that's the fairest way to be, as it's not unbiased, but to be as fair as possible. Okay. What's important is that you're a person who cares about Ukraine. Thank you for that. And thank you. If you're listening to this video right now, it's clear that you're also a person that cares about Ukraine. And then they said, this comment I thought was really important. It's more important to be concise than brief. So I was chasing brevity, chasing 3 minutes, but really what I'm after is conciseness. So I'm going to be concise and brief as possible within the limits of where it is. But if it takes 10 minutes, it takes 10 minutes. If I only have 3 minutes worth, I'll only do 3 minutes worth. But I think that's how I'm going to do this from now on. The last comment was somebody said, form follows function, content determines structure. And that's right. So I will, again, chase that conciseness rather than worry about a time limit. So that's how we'll do the daily brief, and that's how we'll do the 3 big stories. And in between, if you want me to do something like today, I was talking about the roller coaster from Trumpist to communist. And if I do a separate video about that, that might take longer if we decide that we're going to do that. Okay, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback. That was really helpful to me to understand how to orient myself to serve you more fully. Thank you also for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.